The commander of a Navy aircraft carrier docked in Guam, giving a dire warning about dozens of servicemen aboard diagnosed with the coronavirus. According to a letter obtained by the San Francisco Chronicle, the captain of the USS Theodore Roosevelt telling Navy leaders the spread of the illness is ongoing and accelerating, and that removing all but 10% of the crew is a necessary risk in order to stop the spread of the virus. We are not at war. Sailors do not need to die. If we do not act now, we are failing to properly take care of our most trusted asset, our sailors. Captain Crozier writing that only a small number of infected sailors have been taken off the ship, and that following official guidelines for a 14-day quarantine and social distancing in such tight quarters is impossible, saying, due to a warship's inherent limitations of space, we are not doing this. The captain forced to ask for compliant quarantine rooms on shore in Guam for his entire crew as soon as possible. Yet despite those limitations, Defense Secretary Mark Esper telling CBS News it is not time to evacuate the vessel.
At this point, make sure that we contain the virus, that we deploy testing kits so we get a good assessment of how much of the crew is infected.
Acting Navy Secretary Thomas Moodley stressing to MSNBC that the carrier must remain operational.
But we're doing everything we can to ensure that the ship maintains a level of readiness that in case there is something that happens, it can be ready to go.
This morning, a wartime ship doing battle with the virus, threatening us all.